Hey, HCDA, and today we're playing some more Mindustry, and although I am very much tempted to just sit in my little bunker over here, along with all of my tier 5, 4, and 3 units, yeah, that's not gonna happen because, well, even though this zone is actually completely safe, we still have some work to do. Now, I am losing some of those random sectors that we captured before. Honestly, I'm kind of done with micromanaging those, so we are just going to launch straight into the next level, and that is going to be the Desolate Rift. I think that's actually the only level we have available that we haven't done before. I do need to recapture the Mycelial Bastion at some point, but I want to do something new, so let's go here. At this point, it feels like we're doing kind of the same thing over and over again, but the levels are quite different from level to level, and honestly, that keeps things fresh and interesting, and this level seems to be exactly that, fresh and interesting. Uh, this is definitely a gauntlet, let's put it like that. That does imply to me that this is going to be an extremely easy level, because we know exactly where the enemy is coming from. We have plenty of room to set up a defensive line over here. And yeah, if I just block off this area, I don't see that there's any way in which the enemy can get to me easily. Okay, so monos and polys incoming right over here. And let's build ourselves a little highway of goods that are being imported. The water is a little bit further away from my main base than I would like, but I think we should be okay, assuming I actually remember to power everything though. But yeah, this should bring in all the required resources that we have. We actually have some water to spare. We very conveniently actually have some thorium that we can mine over here. And rather than setting up my defensive line over here, which was my initial plan, I actually think I'm gonna set it up over here. Now, the only downside is that we don't really have that much water nearby, which we would have up there, but this is a natural bottleneck, and on top of that, this will allow me to kind of have the enemy stretch itself out as it marches towards me, which is always a little bit more convenient than having all the enemies grouped up already. That just maximizes their firepower while I want to maximize mine. Okay, the first two Spectres are up. We have the first wave incoming. These are just tier 1 units, but considering we don't have that many waves, I think they're going to be scaling up pretty fast, which might be the main challenge on this level. I'm working on my wall. I don't need to build that much wall, actually, considering I don't have much to wall off to begin with, but I definitely am going to need a lot more turrets. At least that's what I'm feeling. I actually did not start any unit production. I completely turned that off just because the unit production is, I think, going to take way too long compared to how much time I have to spend in this level. Okay then, that's a pretty serious wave number 2. Remember, that is just wave number 2 with tier 2 and 3 units already in there. Now I hope at least, my Spectres are up to the task. I mean, it's 4 of them versus quite a few units, but as long as they don't actually just fly straight past, I think I should be fine. Okay, here we go. This is quite a bit of damage, and some of the units are getting through. They're still getting attacked, though. We have a couple of tier 2 units left. I think we should be fine, but yeah, exactly what I was afraid of. They just fly straight past your defenses sometimes. I'm not sure what they're actually going to be targeting. Maybe the power production over here. I do have quite a few units left, though, that I can use to attack, so that should take care of business. But it is definitely going to do some damage along the way, because as you can see, my units do struggle to keep up with the enemy, as they are kind of just flying around doing damage at random. Okay, at least wave 4, or 3 I think this is going to be just ground units, which is a lot easier to defend against, and I am now again producing everything. I repaired most of this, not everything actually, but that will be just a matter of moments, and then I think it should be relatively smooth sailing from there, as long as we don't have to keep rebuilding our base. Okay, well, this is interesting. We're now getting, I think these are tier 5 units sent at us. I mean, it's just 2 of them, but yeah, I mean, they're still tier 5 units. Luckily, I have some force fields up and running by now, and I replaced some of the Spectres at the front by meltdowns to add some additional firepower, kind of like brunt firepower up front. I added in a couple of Spectres in the layer behind, just in case we have some of those rogue flying units trying to push through. I am going to slowly add in a couple of those turrets in the back over here as well, mostly to make sure I defend my main base. But other than that, yeah, it's just a matter of adding turrets and hoping I put those turrets in the correct place for the next couple of waves. Well, the good news is the game is telling me I can survive all remaining 12 waves. The bad news is there's going to be a boss among those, and that tells me absolutely nothing. So, yeah. Okay, so let's see where to next. How about some foreshadows for additional firepower if we're going to get tier 5 units? Now, these things are actually the main bottleneck right now that I have is copper, even though I do have an overclocked copper, 2 overclocked air blast drills, churning out a massive amount of copper. But yeah, if you're building mostly on pause, it goes by so quickly. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add a couple of the specters here on the side. I kind of like the cheeky shooting from the side where no one can reach you. And we're going to put in a force field just to make sure that this all stays alive, so it doesn't get some additional firepower from stray units that might have longer range than this is going to be blocking. But yeah, I do think this will add a little bit of additional kill box style to the side, as well as protect even better against those flying units. Speaking of those air units, we just got a whole wave incoming. Let's see how my theory is working. So far, so good. I really like those force fields, actually. Those are amazing. Fires are a little bit worrisome. I could actually add in a couple of these waves over here. Not sure if that's gonna do much, honestly. Probably not, but, you know, it's better than nothing, I suppose. Although not that much more than nothing. I am going to add in a little bit of power supply, because I do not want to run out of power anytime soon. These things are not charged up with liquid, and we definitely need to make sure that if they're firing, they're doing their best to do that at max capacity. I am just boosting everything with water, by the way. I know you can boost with cryo fluid as well, but this is so much more expensive and power hungry to make rather than just water, and honestly the benefit is not that big in comparison, so this is why I'm just sticking to water pretty much all the time. I've also started to put some overdrive projectors in my defensive line that just boosts all these turrets as well with a significant amount. Just making sure I front load as much damage as I can. Now that will mean that sometimes this thorium supply line might struggle a bit with keeping up, but yeah, there's not really any way to prevent that other than just making sure there's even more thorium coming in. And that also means that I do want to start adding in some more of those meltdowns as well, because they do not rely on fuel. And I am going to add in this like back line of specters, not really because I expect to need them, but this is pretty much just having a plan B in place along with these force fields and menders, just to make sure that I don't again die from a couple of stray units pushing through and then just ruining my game. Okay, so how about this? There's a whole battery of shadows on each side, there's a whole bunch of specters, there's a couple of meltdowns in the middle. I still need to add in a few more meltdowns, I think, just to add in the maximum amount of firepower. Probably going to replace the specters here on the front with meltdowns. But then I don't really know what else I can do to beef this up further other than producing units. I could actually start producing units. But again, I think it's a little bit too late now. I could probably have built a couple of tier 5 units, but as you can see, I am struggling a little bit with my resources. So, you know, I don't think this is a bad call whatsoever. We don't need to move out from this base, we just need to make sure this base does not die. So it seems to be not doing that, so that's working like intended, I would say. Okay, so a couple of meltdowns from the front. 4 of these is a lot of firepower, especially... Yep, there we go. Especially considering they're boosted, they have water, etc. The water level doesn't seem to be too high. I should probably add in a little bit to that, because, you know, there's a lot of them now drawing water from this. I think this is the pipeline going to the top right. Yes, it is. Maybe there should have been more pipelines. I could actually connect this pipeline up to the other one as well, just to be safe. I should probably do that. Backups and redundancy is never a bad thing when you're trying to stay alive. I am now on the second to last wave, and I pretty much just built a secondary defense line at the core of my base. This is mostly just specters and, well, it's actually just specters and meltdowns. For some reason, meltdown isn't powered, so that's probably useful. There you go. And all the power production is here anyway. All the thorium for the specters is here, so this needs nothing of the rest of my base in order to function. I mean, in the long run, it would need, of course, to be resupplied, But on that last wave, it's either going to die or it's just going to hold out and save the level. I also built a couple of additional walls, not because these are going to last, they're not even meant to last. They're just there to slow down the enemy just a little bit so that I can take a few more shots at them before they push through, if they are going to be pushing through. Now, okay, those are actually, I thought these were the tier 5 units, but these are the tier 5 units. I don't think a handful of them is going to cut it, guys. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, honestly. But I think we should have plenty of defense to hold out against that, especially considering these shields, I think, are going to come in clutch, because, well, these are going to make sure that whatever they do from a very long range, because I do think these things have a pretty long range, should be fine. But yeah, you can see the fuses, or sorry, the foreshadows already working quite hard on the first one. Now this one is going to do a fair amount of damage. As you can see, it is breaking through my wall, but my polys are rebuilding it and dying in the process, I think, but that's okay. They are trying to rebuild, they're doing the job. And yeah, these guys are not going to be able to defeat us. Now, okay, these guys are stuck. That's a problem. I might need to kind of lure them in. Maybe I can just build like a power node or something. Is that going to lure them in? Because they're just blocking each other. There you go. Hello? Okay, let me figure out how to get these guys to move, because otherwise we're going to be here for a while. Well, maybe building a turret will grab their attention. I mean, oh, there we go. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, now they're coming. I mean, it did grab their attention, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's also really, really strange. And there we go, another sector captured. This was one of the ones that we needed to unlock some stuff for, at least some stuff in this technology tree. Not sure if we got any new buildings, I don't think we did. It's just kind of like the lore that is in here that we unlocked. But yeah, this was one of the last few levels that we needed, and there we go. Now we have the planetary something. Oh, that's 3 new levels actually. Yeah, so I think these are actually the last 3 levels. So we have the planetary launch terminal, we have Crocscape, we have the geothermal stronghold, and we also still have the mycelial bastion that we did already capture, but that I lost somehow. Okay, so 3 more levels to go. I do believe those are the last 3. So I hope to catch you in the next one. And of course, if you are still here, you are awesome. And that's the wrong way around, but yeah, you'll just have to work with it. It's late, I'm tired, and I look very much forward to wrapping up this campaign.